Moomey. I'm missing all my little artists from Rena and Tate, so I thought I'd make a video just to say hi and maybe keep your skills up on your artistic abilities that we've been talking about during art. And I know you're doing lots of fun schoolwork at home, so I thought you might need a break to do some artwork for a little bit. Now, I've kept in mind that you may not have a lot of supplies at home, and so I'm kind of keeping it to some of the basic stuff that you might be able to be a little creative with. So I thought we would kind of go back over our primary colors and each day just kind of do a little bit on some of the elements that you need to keep in mind and not forget, because they're very important when you're doing art. One of the basic ones we've talked about over and over again are the primary colors. Of course, they are red, yellow, and blue, if you do not remember which ones they are. The reason why these are so important is because you cannot make blue, red, or yellow by mixing any colors together. That's what makes them primary. So we can take these colors and make other colors like green and orange and purple just by using these three. So we're just going to use these three and just talk about the primary colors today on the project that we're going to do. So I'll show you a little picture, a little bit of what we're going to do. This is very simple, just looking at it, but believe it or not, this was actually inspired by an artist named Piet Mondrian. Mondrian actually focused on the three primary colors, red, yellow, blue. He focused on black, white, and gray. And he focused on two primary directions, horizontal and vertical, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But notice how he used all those three simple colors to make these gorgeous artworks. So those were four different examples from Piet Mondrian. You probably saw that they were basic lines and basic shapes and basic colors, the primary colors actually. Piet Mondrian was born in 1872. He was a Dutch artist, and he actually started the whole movement, or one of the ones that started the whole idea of abstract art, which means it's art that doesn't necessarily look like anything in particular, and those are sometimes the most fun to draw because you can just go out there and do whatever you want with abstract art. So anyway, I wanted to show you some examples so you would have a little inspiration before you get started on your own piece of artwork. Notice that the lines in the Piet Mondrian art are vertical lines and horizontal lines, and that is something that you really need to remember the words. Vertical means up and down lines. Like this. This would be vertical. Horizontal would be across like this. Would be going across. So, in other words, horizontal are the side-to-side lines, and the vertical lines are up and down. Now, there's also a couple more lines that you can keep in mind as you're doing these Mondrian art. Lines that go across like this. Two lines that never cross each other are called parallel lines. Let me write that, parallel. That means they never touch. Like train tracks, they never touch. And then there are perpendicular lines also, more like this, that cross almost like a four-way stop. Perpendicular. So those are some really important words to keep in mind. The art does go along with math and science, and it helps you in other classes too. So it's always important to keep these words in your head and remember what they mean. So now let's get on to the fun part of how to do the art today. Now, all I've got is a regular copy paper that you can use off your printer, or you can use a piece of notebook paper. I'm just trying to think of things that you might have at home. You can use markers if you have markers. Maybe you just have crayons. Whatever you have will work. But mostly you want to have red, yellow, blue. whether it's crayons, markers, you can use paint, whatever you have. So start with your lines first. If you want to use a black marker, that really makes them stand out. You can use a ruler. You can put your notebook up to your paper and use it to draw lines with so that you get a nice straight line if you want to. I know some of you are really particular about that. You like your lines straight. So if you don't have a ruler at home, a book works really well. So I can put my book down and draw me some black lines, or just eyeball them. It really doesn't matter. And break your paper up however you want to, with horizontal lines, vertical lines. Let's see, let's make us a perpendicular line here where it crosses. And let's see, we've got us a parallel line. There are two lines that don't ever touch. So now, once I used all these lines, I also have created shapes. I have a lot of rectangles and squares on my paper. So now this fun part of the coloring, you decide where your red, yellow, and blue are going to go. I would also leave a couple of white spaces in there too. You can put them, of course, anywhere you think you might want them to go. So notice I'm coloring with my marker. I'm using the side of my marker. That's called painting with the marker. Instead of just scribbling with the marker, this would be scribbling like that. But if I take my marker and I almost make perfect lines, then my coloring looks so much better when I'm done. So you just continue to use your red, yellow, and blue wherever you want to on your paper. And when you get done, you might end up with something kind of like the one that I started with. Now, I know there may be some people out there that maybe you don't like to color. Maybe you don't want to do this kind of thing. Maybe you like sculpture instead. Maybe you like to do things with your hands in a different way. So I also gave you another option. I know a lot of you have Legos at home. Maybe you might want to do a Lego project out of it and create. I pulled out some red, yellow, and blue pieces of Legos, and you can do the same thing. You could draw your lines first if you wanted to. And then add your Legos where you want them. If you want to do all red right here, because you don't feel like coloring it in, you just want to use some red without coloring, then you can do that. I bet you have a lot more Legos than I do. Or maybe you want to do some blue over here. Just something fun. Just anything to use your creativity. Look around the house and see what else you might have. Maybe you've got some old tissue paper. Or maybe, let's see, what else? Maybe other different toys that might have different colors, especially red, yellow, and blue, since we're talking about our primary colors today. So anyway, I hope that you have fun hanging out with me today, and that you can do your project and have plenty of supplies, and be creative. Think about something else you might use to make this margarine with, and post it on the PTA Tate web Facebook page so I can see everybody that got theirs made. I would love to see what you came up with. So it was good to talk to everybody. Hopefully I'll be back very soon with another video. Thanks.